Libya's interim government of national unity was selected by the 75-member UN-facilitated Libyan Political Dialogue Forum in 2019 and subsequently endorsed by the Libyan House of Representatives to govern the country until national elections. Following the postponement of elections originally scheduled for December 2021, the Government of National Unity's legitimacy was challenged by a Government of National Stability that the House of Representatives endorsed in February in a vote that the UN assessed was not fully transparent and included reports of acts of intimidation prior to the session. As of year's end, a new date for national elections had not been set. As a result, the Government of National Unity continued to govern the country on an interim basis, although its influence was limited outside of Tripoli and certain areas in the northwest. The non-state actor known as the Libyan National Army, led by Khalifa Haftar, maintained significant de facto control in the east and south and welcomed the formation of the House of Representatives, endorsed Government of National Stability while maintaining independence from it. The Government of National Unity maintained limited control over security forces, which consisted of a mix of semi-regular and nominally integrated units, tribal armed groups, and civilian volunteers. The National Police Force under the Ministry of Interior oversaw internal security, supported by the armed forces under the Ministry of Defense. Civilian authorities had only nominal control of the police and the security apparatus. Security-related police work generally fell to armed groups, which, while officially falling under security institutions, remained at least partially independent of state authority. Most of these nominally integrated armed groups supplemented their government funding with proceeds from licit and illicit activities and varied significantly in terms of training, supervision, and/or accountability. There were reports that members of security forces aligned with both the Government of National Unity and the Libyan National Army, including contracted elements of Russia's Wagner Group supporting the Libyan National Army, committed numerous abuses. The Government of National Unity and the Libyan National Army, along with other non-state actors, largely upheld the 2020 ceasefire agreement, although both sides continued receiving support from foreign governments, military forces, fighters, and mercenaries. Officially constituted and nominally integrated armed groups filled security vacuums across the country. ISIS Libya was active in the southwestern desert. Significant human rights problems included credible reports of unlawful or arbitrary killings, enforced disappearance, torture or other physical abuses perpetrated by armed groups on all sides, harsh and life threatening conditions in prison and detention facilities, arbitrary arrest or detention, political prisoners or detainees, serious problems with the independence of the judiciary, arbitrary or unlawful interference with privacy, serious abuses in a conflict, including widespread civilian deaths or harm, serious restrictions on free expression and media, including violence against journalists and enforcement of or threat to enforce criminal libel laws to limit expression, substantial interference with freedom of association and peaceable assembly, refoulement of refugees and asylum seekers to a country where they would face torture or persecution, serious government corruption, lack of investigation of and accountability for gender-based violence, threats of violence targeting members of ethnic minority groups and foreigners, trafficking in persons, including forced labor, enforcement of or threat to enforce laws criminalizing consensual same-sex sexual conduct between adults, and significant restrictions on workers' freedom of association, including limits on collective bargaining and the right to strike. Divisions between institutions affiliated with the Government of National Unity and those affiliated with the Libyan National Army, a security vacuum in the south, the presence of criminal groups throughout the country, and the government's weakness severely inhibited investigation and prosecution of abuses. The government took limited steps to investigate, prosecute, and punish officials who committed human rights abuses and acts of corruption within its area of reach. However, its limited resources, as well as limited political will, reduced its ability and willingness to prosecute and punish perpetrators. Human rights abuses, by groups aligned with the government and the Libyan National Army, non-state and foreign actors including mercenaries from various countries, and terrorist organizations, were widespread throughout the year. These included killings, indiscriminate attacks on civilians, arbitrary detention, and torture.